Hey guys, what's up? It's Kevin for the win, and we're back for another edition of Diablo III. Today on the channel, we are taking a look at an S-tier build for the Crusader class, known as the Aegis of Valor set. Some people particularly refer to this set as Valor Satyr. That's the build we're going for here. Here is the Aegis of Valor and what it does. 2-piece bonus, attack with Fist of the Heavens, empowers you, allowing Heaven's Fury to deal 100% increased damage for 5 seconds, stack up to 3 times multiply. 4-set-piece bonus says, hitting with Fist of the Heavens, returns 5 wrath and reduces damage taken by 1% for 10 seconds, stacks up to 50%, or 50 times, I should say. 6-piece bonus, increase the damage of Heaven's Fury and Fist of the Heavens by 1,500%. So basically, this is a Fist of the Heavens and Heaven's Fury armor focus. So we're also going to be using Captain Crimson, because it works here greatly with cooldown reduction that we have. 2-piece bonus, 6,000 life per second, reduces cooldown of all skills by 20%, as well as resource cost by 20%. 3-piece bonus, damage dealt is increased by your percentage of cooldown reduction. Damage taken is also reduced by cooldown reduction. So we're going to be using the belt and the boots, or the pants and the boots. We're going to be using Ring of Royal Grandeur, although you preferably want it in the cube for a conventional elements. I didn't have good conventional elements. That's why I put the Ring of Royal Grandeur there instead. Shield of Fury. That's the way we can power up Heaven's Fury even further, which is very, very important. And this as well stacks up to 10 times as well. Then we want Bracer Fury, because Heaven's Fury will deal 393% increased damage. So we want to do that. For the necklace, Flavor of Time, because it goes very, very well in here, and because we're not using anything else that would particularly benefit from. For the skills, Slash, Electrify, which we're very rarely going to use in this build. Fist of the Heavens, Fissure, which is where the majority of our damage is going to be coming from. Shield Glare, Uncertainty, because if we get into a rough spot, we got to status things. Akarat's Champion, that way we're a bit more tanky. Laws of Valor, Unstoppable Force, definitely helps here. Heaven's Fury, Fires of Heaven, very, very important to run that. For the passives, Holy Claws, as you see here. We also have the Long Arm of the Law, because obviously we're using one of the Laws of Valor. Finery as well. In the Kanai's Cube, my recommendation, though you don't have to follow it necessarily a T, would be Dark Light, Kasserit's Cord of Righteousness, and Conventional Elements. If you have a good Conventional Elements, obviously swap that out for the Ring of Royal Grandeur instead. Keep in mind, I am using Fate of the Fell here as my weapons to increase Heaven's Fury as well. Keep in mind, you could not use the particular slot in Kanai's Cube to power up Heaven's, or Fist of the Heavens more. I opted to go that way. You could, if you wanted to, run Stone Gauntlets. I prefer powering up the abilities that are tied directly to the armor, so that's why I went that way with this particular build. Keep in mind, builds are just recommendations, and you kind of can put your own spins on them. So that's kind of the cool thing about this. We can bounce off ideas like we do many, many times on the channel. For today's demonstration, we are doing a Greater Rift 60, 65, 70, 75, and 80. That will be Torments 13 through 16. That will show you how this armor handles low to very high tier Greater Rifts. So the first thing you're going to do when you get into the Greater Rift is cast a Akarat's Champion. Then start channeling your Fist of the Heavens. Every so often when you run into something tanky, although probably when you are doing low Greater Rifts, most of your Fist of the Heavens will just one-shot everything. But if you want to, you can alternate. You can go like 3 Fist of the Heavens and then go with Heaven's Fury. 3 Fist of the Heavens, Heaven's Fury. However, low Greater Rifts, your Fist of the Heavens are going to basically one-shot everything in sight if you follow the armor the way that I have it set up exactly to the T. So, primarily Fist of the Heavens, and you will just channel this all around in the lower Greater Rifts, and then when you run into the Rift Guardian, you just fire off that one Heaven's Fury, and I guarantee you, my friend, you will one-shot everything on the low Greater Rifts. Obviously, this strategy gets changed up significantly as you get higher up into the Greater Rift. Now, in terms of optimization, what are we going to be doing to optimize this particular armor? Again, this is a recommendation. You do not have to necessarily follow it, but this is what I find works best for my particular playstyle. On the helm, my recommendation would be to get crit hit chance maxed at like 6.0%. If you could get it at 8.0% through Ancient Legendary, Primal Ancient Legendary, definitely do so. That will do more damage, which is very important. On the gloves, my recommendation is to have these 3 stats imported on it. I would recommend attack speed anywhere between 6.0 to 8.0%. Crit hit damage 50%, and then crit hit chance between 6.0 to 8.0%. Obviously, the higher the roll, the more damage you would deal, but I recommend having all 3 of those stats on your gloves because it will significantly increase the amount of damage that you're going to be able to do, not only on the lower rifts, but on the higher greater rifts as well. Now, in terms of the legendary gems that we will be using, Bane of the Stricken, Bane of the Trap, and Pain Enhancer. This will work great for Valor Satyr build. So definitely, that's my recommendation, as obviously you're going to be attacking things, particularly on higher greater rifts, sometimes multiple times. You are going to be doing a lot of stacked amount of damage. Now, further optimization, obviously, since we are using a Captain Crimson set, which relies heavily on cooldown reduction, we want cooldown reduction everywhere we can get it. So my recommendation on your shoulders, get cooldown reduction anywhere you find cooldown reduction that you can get it at the maximum stack, which would be 8.0 cooldown reduction. Definitely do it. The more cooldown reduction, the more damage you're going to be able to deal, as well as the least amount of damage that will be able to be dealt to you. Now, if in your rolls you get good rolls where you also can get 15% damage increase to Fist of the Heavens or Heaven's Fury, those are the 2 skills in particular you would want to increase to 15% damage. Everything else, really, you don't need to increase on this particular armor because we're just going Fist of the Heavens, Fist of the Heavens, Fist of the Heavens. And then higher greater rifts, you're probably going to fire off a Heaven's Fury when you run into elite packs. Lower greater rifts, as you've seen with this armor, you don't need it because you're just one-shotting everything with Fist of Heavens. Kind of think that, all intents and purposes, think of yourself as Zeus. You're just dropping thunderbolts after thunderbolts after thunderbolts after thunderbolts around and around, killing things, one-shotting them. Sometimes you're a god. I got a little too greedy there, so I took an unnecessary death. Obviously, if I had stone gauntlets in place there, I probably would not have taken the damage, so that's something to definitely look into. All right, so for the Rift Guardian, I'm going to channel some Fist of the Heavens and then fire off one. Well, I actually had a little bit lag there, but Heaven's Fury was intended to kill it, but Fist of the Heavens did its job, obviously, because of being stricken, as well as in conjunction with Bane of the Trap and Pain Enhancer. All those things together do a lot of damage when they're stacking with each other, so keep that in mind. So that's definitely basically what you're going to want to do on lower graders. Like I said, Valor Satyr is considered a S-tier build for the Crusader. This is kind of one of the Crusader builds that a lot of people like. This particular armor does very good, as you saw here. Zoning monsters. Zoning monsters basically means that you attack from distance, you keep them away in their own zones, and you're able to just kind of keep things away. In theory, if you wanted to, I don't necessarily recommend it, but if you wanted to get a little crafty, you could switch out the Pain Enhancer for Zay's Stone of Vengeance, because you are mostly going to be attacking with Fist of the Heavens from afar. That was a 3-minute clear time on Greater Rift 60. This is Greater Rift 65. Same strategy as before, guys. We are just going to be channeling or casting a lot of Fist of the Heavens. All these Fist of the Heavens kind of connect to each other based on the ruin that we have. So we just kind of have like a long string of electricity coming around. If you are familiar with Gremlins 2, you remember the final scene where Billy fired the electric gremlin into that hallway where they would wet all the gremlins that were singing New York, New York. Think of that strategy. That's basically what you're doing here with your Valor Satyr build. So you're just kind of chaining these Heavens or Fist of the Heavens electricity strikes all together and taking out enemies that way. And that's basically one of the best strategies. That's why I say it's important to use my particular Kanai's Cube for the way I'm playing it, because I feel like it's a bit more effective as opposed to Stone Gauntlets. Obviously, if you want to be a little bit more tanky and be able to take more hits, go for it. Go for Stone Gauntlets. I prefer to give out more damage. I prefer probably being a glass cannon in a sense. Keep in mind, when you get higher up in the Greater Rifts, the chances that you are going to get a 4-chance bonus to augment legendary gems is significantly lower. Just keep that in mind. So what if you decide that you are going to be playing a seasonal journey for Diablo 3 and Season 20 for Diablo? This is not your starter set. Your Hatred gift is, believe it or not, Roland's Legacy, which I have covered. Roland's Legacy is an okay armor. My recommendation I do have a Roland's Legacy build that focuses primarily on sweep attack, because I feel like that's kind of better than even really the shield bash ability, which is not that great, honestly, but teach their own. I have a build that's available in the playlist. I did at the end of Season 22, but all the information for that can be applied for Season 23, so that is the starter guide, basically. So you could basically use that armor. I say you use that armor until you get the pieces of Aegis of Valor, and I would recommend using this to complete your seasonal journey as a Crusader. So what would you necessarily need to do in your seasonal journey to optimize this particular armor? My recommendation always is go for the bounties first. The reason I recommend bounties is because, first things first, in order to get the Captain Crimson plans, because they are plans that you need to unlock, particularly if you're playing seasonal, you need to encounter goblins, and you need to do lots of bounties with cachets to get the plans to drop. My recommendation is do as many bounties as possible, because you're going to have a very high chance, the more of them you do, to get the plans for Captain Crimson very early. Subsequently, you need Tyrael cachets from completing a bounty on a act to be able to craft Captain Crimson anyway. So you're basically killing two birds, although I don't like to kill birds, but basically you're killing two birds with one stone. You will get the pieces that you need to craft Captain Crimson, and you also get the plan. So focus on bounties very early in. Another good thing about bounties is you're going to get a lot of depth reps, and you're going to run into things that you need to Kanai's Cube for this build anyway. So all these things kind of help make your seasonal journey significantly less by just focusing on bounties first. Once you have all the armor pieces, then let's say you need, obviously you're going to need the weapon for this particular build. How are you going to get the weapon? My recommendation is I would just focus on getting your weapon that you need. Get like rare ones and just go and start rolling in Kanai's Cube. That's one way to do it. Another way would be just keep going into Greater. To get this particular weapon that we are using, it will take you a while. It doesn't drop very often, so don't get discouraged. It takes a while. You're probably going to see a lot more of the other particular weapons that are used, which is a flail. More. But, you know, you have options here. You could probably get a whole bunch of rare ones crafted and then go into Kanai's Cube and upgrade them, and hopefully you get a good roll that way. Subsequently, then just honestly focus on Greater Rifts. Go Greater Rift hunting, level up the gems any way that you need to, and maybe you'll get lucky and get it that way. That one's a little harder too, but you need that particular weapon to get it, particularly for this particular build. So definitely Dark Bright drops a lot easier to my knowledge. At least that's how my luck pans out with this. So keep that in mind. Let's see what the clear time was on this, shall we? This was a 4-minute clear time, Greater of 65. Really, because the dungeon layout wasn't the most optimal. That probably would have been 3 minutes if it was a better dungeon. Okay, we're going to keep going. This is a Greater of 70. Same strategy as before. Fist of the Heavens. Every once in a while, make sure that you are channeling or casting your Laws of Valor. Since we are higher up in the Greater Rifts, you are going to run into elite packs that are a bit more tanky. My advice to you is that's when you start casting a Heaven's Fury. Keep in mind the way that this armor works. When you fire off a Heaven's Fury, after having so many stacks of Fist of the Heavens casted, you will do a tremendously large amount of damage with that Heaven's Fury. Majority of the time, at least 99.2% of the time, you are going to one-shot things. So that is something that you definitely want to do. Most of the lower enemies, even in higher Greater Rifts, you're going to still be able to one-shot with your Fist of the Heaven. Obviously, there, as you see here in that corner, I really should have gotten off a Heaven's Fury, but since you see so many things exploding, you don't want to go aggro, because if you do, you'll take unnecessary death, which will then obviously affect your extra chance bonus to level up a gem. Now, in terms of full optimization, what you would want to do is have all your armor Ancient Legendary or Primal Ancient Legendary rarity. Obviously, you want to augment your armor. For those of you who are not familiar with that, in Kanai's Cube, there's an option to augment your armor, which requires legendary gems. My recommendation is level up a gem that you're not going to use to level 80 or 100, and then augment it into an armor piece. That way you can get the maximum amount of damage. If you're in a seasonal journey and you're struggling with this armor on a lower Greater Rift, it's okay to augment at level 50 or 60 gems, and then keep in mind, you can overwrite an augmentation with another one. The only thing is, obviously, you have wasted maybe you've wasted a gem. It depends on a matter of perspective there, but that's what basically you want to do. Preferably higher level, the better, because it's better stats all around. But if you're struggling, it's okay to augment at a lower level and then go back and overwrite with a better thing long term. Keep in mind with Diablo 3, as I always say, it is not about the destination. It is a journey. It takes a while to get the optimal rolls. Keep in mind, all armor sets that you see featured in this channel are not 100% optimized. I can't stress this enough because it does come up in the comment section quite a bit. Every armor you see is a work in progress. I do play other games besides Diablo 3. I do not play Diablo 3 24/7. I play other games. I like to play other games. I'm not dedicated to one game. This is a variety channel. Case in point, you've noticed we've been playing a little bit less Diablo 3 on the channel because I'm focusing a little bit more on Monster Hunter Rise, which is a little bit newer of a game, and there's a bit more content available for that as opposed to Diablo 3, which hasn't seen really significant content. We have had seasonal changes. Another thing is this season is pets. Some people like pets cosmetics. I don't really particularly care too much for pets. So because I don't care for pets, I don't generally participate necessarily on Diablo 3 seasons with pets. I prefer wings. I like wings. I prefer those cosmetics because that just does more for aesthetic purposes in my opinion and what I like. That's why. So that's also why we haven't really been doing too much Diablo. We have Diablo Tuesdays and Thursdays on the channel. Mostly I've been covering builds and revisiting things that fans and people in comments have asked in previous videos for me to go back on. So obviously this is one of the armors I haven't covered since I believe the end of Season 21. Maybe I covered it a little bit in Season 22, but not really in depth. So same strategy here, obviously, Fist of the Heavens. We're still very high up on damage with this Greater Rift, so we don't really have to rely on Heaven's Fury. Probably the only time we're going to use it is against the Rift Guardian. Always make sure to keep your Laws of Valor active. Keep your Ocarich Champion. Keep an eye on the cooldown. We're not using Goaka Swiftness, so cooldown might feel a little longer in particular. But most things, again, with this build, if you're following the strategy and the advice that I'm giving you, exactly, Fist of the Heavens going to take out everything where you don't necessarily need to use Heaven's Fury unless you see a very bulky elite pack or you're at the front of the Rift Guardian. You could just laugh in his face. Let's see here. I am going to use... See, I did one Fist... basically used Heaven's Fury after I had cast a Blinding Flash and basically one-shot the Rift Guardian. Why? Because we have Bane and Stricken. We have the armor that's got the stack that's powered up to Heaven's Fury. And then on top of that, Bane and Stricken, Bane of the Trap. All these things in conjunction are doing tremendous amount of damage modifiers. So that's why we're able to one-shot a Rift Guardian this way. So keep that in mind. I'm leveling up a random gem now. So anybody wondering why is he leveling that up? It's for augmentation purposes, as well as just maybe I'm working on some crazy off-the-wall armor you haven't seen yet. All right, so let's see the clear time here. That was a 4-minute clear time on Greater of 70. It would have been a little faster based on the dungeon layout, so keep that in mind. Probably 3 minutes, optimal. All right, so same strategy here. We are on Greater of 75. This is Torment 16 difficulty. That is the highest the Torment difficulty goes, but as you go higher up in Greater Rifts, the enemies get scaled to HP higher up, so they become more tanky, they are able to take more hits, and they are able to deal more damage. Strategy here is still going to be mostly the same until we run into elite packs. We are going to be channeling Fist of the Heavens mostly. When we see something bulky, case in point there, fire off a Heaven's Fury. We're going to be using Heaven's Fury now a lot more to get rid of very bulky elite packs and enemies that just don't go down as quickly with Fist of the Heavens. This is where things get more strategic and more parts of the armor and more skills become used in this particular build, so keep that in mind. So, going to channel a lot of Fist of the Heavens. That way we just got a whole bunch of, not necessarily AoE, but we got crowd control basically going on here. Also keep in mind, because we are using a Flavor of Time necklace, that we keep our pylons going active, which is kind of good because we got the good pylon where, in theory, we want to, we could just run around like a madman here, but I like to play things a little bit more cautious, because keep in mind, if we're running around with the pylon with electricity, there's a chance that we run into elite packs that cause explosion, and if we get hit with an explosion, we will lose our 4 chance bonus, which is something that sometimes you want to keep an eye on. Aegis of Valor, Valor Crusader build is also really good on high greater risk for Paragon Farming. The reason being, as you've seen here, you can chain together a very large massacre bonus, which the more massacre bonus that you get off, the more damage that you will be able to deal out in retrospect. So keep that in mind. I'm going to basically here channel more Fist of the Heavens. You see that bulky one? I'm going to fire off Heaven's Fury. I one-shot the monster there. Always keep in mind to try to maintain your Laws of Valor, and also definitely keep an eye on Augmentation Champion. Whenever you see it's available, obviously cast it because it gives you more defense as well as other things to make your life so much easier. Again, same strategy here. Fist of the Heavens all around. We're just going to keep. Now there's more bulky things, so we're going to have to let off Heaven's Fury, that one-shot stat. I have to be careful of the Acid Pull because that can one-shot me here. Again, Fist of the Heavens, and then we're going to fire off a Heaven's Fury, which we do here. We one-shot that thing primarily, although I think we Fist of the Heavens as damage took that one out. This is really where the armor is going to shine and be showcased the best at higher greater, where you have to kind of change it up. It's not as simple as just dropping Fist of the Heavens anymore. Now you basically reserve your Heaven's Fury for whenever you see Elite Pack, and you just say, go away. Another good thing is sometimes if you see there's too many enemies that are swarming you and you don't feel like you're going to be able to take out as many targets, definitely fire off Heaven's Fury. Don't necessarily just save it for Rift Guardian, because keep in mind you can chain more Heaven's Furies to get back the stacks easily. So it's a matter of, you know, stacking and playing things by ear and seeing what necessarily you want to do with your particular playthrough. So you always got to be cautious, keep in mind. Higher grade rifts, you're going to use Heaven's Fury a lot more. Lower grade rifts, Fist of Heaven's probably going to one-shot just everything in sight. Alright, so here, yeah, we got the Rift Guardian. Okay, so here what we're going to want to do is Heaven's Fury. Alright, see, we had to basically flip the script a bit. So you go Fist of the Heavens roughly 3 times, then you want to go Blinding Flash, and then you want to fire off Heaven's Fury, and then if you see that the Rift Guardian still is alive, keep going in that rotation until you take it out. Obviously, you need to status it so that it's dizzy, because if not, higher grade rifts, they can one-shot you if you get reckless and you do not pay attention to the windows that you should be doing in terms of damage output and just basically things you need to channel and cast. Alright, so keep in mind, I'm not using Simplicity Strength. I'm just leveling that gem up for augmentation purposes. So I think this was actually much faster than the previous Greater Rift. So this is probably the best run that we've done so far with this. So let's see. Unfortunately, due to the magic of editing, I had to edit out the part, but we did do a clear minute of 3 minutes and 30 seconds. This is a Greater Rift 80. This is Torment 16 plus, so basically the higher you're going in terms of numbers, the more damage they can deal to you, the more damage they can take. So the strategy, again, is always channel, set off a couple of Fists of the Heavens, and then cast Heaven's Fury on elite packs or mobs that are not going down super fast. Keep in mind you have to also maintain your Augmentation Champion as well as your Laws of Valor. So you have to keep those in mind. You have to keep them active. So again, usually Fist of the Heavens will take out the weaker monsters, and then anytime you see elite pack or you just feel like you're going to be overwhelmed by enemies where you're not going to be able to handle things, let off a Heaven's Fury, and then go back to channeling Fist of the Heavens, because that's how the armor works, guys. You want to get those stacks up, and Heaven's Fury is just basically like that shotgun to the head type of thing that you're doing to Rift Guardians and basically elite packs. So don't be afraid to, you know, channel and fire off Heaven's Fury if you feel like you need to. That way you can just kind of keep your 4 chance bonus going. But that's basically what you are going to want to do with Aegis of Valor, aka Valor Crusader build. Now, as I addressed earlier on this week on the channel, the question that has come up, will I be covering Diablo 2 on the channel? Yes, I will cover Diablo 2 on the channel when they make the alpha available to console players, which I said they'll do in a future update. So I will definitely take a look at that, and then we'll do kind of like a opinion video necessarily on that. Then when Diablo 2 comes out, Diablo 2 Resurrected is what I'm referring to. We will do Diablo 2 Resurrected content. I'm not sure if I'm going to do a playthrough of the story. I probably am going to do that off a video. And then what I will probably do is I will start like focusing on armors and set builds, and we'll talk about that. Obviously, it's going to take me a while to get things towards endgame, because obviously it's going to be a relatively new game. In terms of Diablo 3, where's that stand? We might do like maybe one Diablo 2 video a week, and then maybe one Diablo 3 video. If I see like Blizzard particularly is abandoning Diablo 3, it's not like continuing seasons, and they're just kind of put all their emphasis on Diablo 2 Resurrected, maybe what we do is maybe we'll move our focus away from Diablo 3 and maybe just focus on Diablo 2. It really depends on what Blizzard decides to do and how they decide to handle Diablo 3. I mean, we kind of all know that Diablo 3 is kind of at its end. It's going to eventually die. Eventually, Blizzard is going to move on. I'm not sure if this means that they're moving on to Diablo 2 Resurrected, and then obviously then it'll be Diablo 4. Or if they plan to support Diablo 3, my guess is probably Diablo 3 has been around a while, and they have covered... I mean, we've had 23 seasons in Diablo 3. So, you know, at some point, it's going to be a point where it's like, okay, well, there's no more seasonal challenges or journeys. Maybe they will have it where pets that we didn't get before and wings can be dropped via things. I think eventually... We're kind of looking at this point with Diablo 2 Resurrected available in the near future, the end of Diablo 3, which is fine because it's had to run. So if that's kind of where Blizzard falls, what we'll do is we'll move from Diablo 3 to Diablo 2. Obviously, when Diablo 4 comes out and it's available on a console, probably by then, hopefully, we'll be able to get our hands on PS5 or Xbox Series X, which, yeah... Still having as much trouble as all of you trying to procure one because they just still refuse to sell them in stores, which is just baffling. And trying to buy them online is just... Well, you've seen what scalpers have done. It's utterly ridiculous. So, but obviously, long-term for Diablo content on the channel is we'll continue Diablo 3. When we see Blizzard releases Diablo 2, we'll go Diablo 2. We might do Diablo 2 and Diablo 3. If we see like Blizzard just completely pulled support for Diablo 3 to go all in on Diablo 2, we will go all in on Diablo 2, and that will be our focus. Unless fans of the channel want me to continue doing Diablo 3 videos, like maybe we could do final endgame builds, and those will be like the last set videos that I do for every set armor, and then we can kind of give it its final send-off. It really depends on you guys. Obviously, I like to hear your opinions in retrospect in the comment section, as always. Keep in mind, there's no such thing on the channel as a bad comment. So obviously, feel free to give me criticism as long as it is constructive criticism, and we can open a dialogue and discuss things. If you have a different build or different variation of this build that you like to do, definitely leave it in the comments. I will take a look at it. I take a look at everything here. I gotta be careful of this Rick Guardian here, so healed myself up. Hopefully we don't run into the same guy again. We did. What are the chances that we get the same Rick Guardian again? Okay, so we're gonna paralyze it. And then we just fire off the Heaven's Fury because we have all the stacks, and we one-shot it that way. If I didn't do that, probably would have one-shotted us because this is a very annoying Rift Guardian. That's my least favorite Rift Guardian to do. But that's basically long-term plans in terms of Diablo content on the channel. So we're not abandoning Diablo 3 or Diablo content. It's still going to be around. It's like I said, I'm kind of like all of the other creators right now, just kind of waiting for Diablo 2 Resurrected to come out to kind of shift gears to something new, which feels a bit more fresh. Because Diablo 3... kind of is getting a little stagnant. A lot of people have been playing through the season, kind of agree. Like, they've done some tweaks to Firebird, but that's about it. All right, that was a clear time, 5-minute clear time. Fully optimized, you probably get that to 3 or 2 minutes. Keep in mind, I'm not fully optimized. This is a work in progress, like any set build that you see on this channel. Let's see if we got any good loot. Fate of the Fell. Funny story, guys. I actually just got an ancient legendary version to drop in the previous run. Obviously, through the magic of editing, you did not get to see that. But yeah, so we have a better Fate of the Fell, which pushes the attack stats up into the 3,000 range, just base. So I know this is going to come in the comments, but I just got it to drop in one of the runs, which is kind of ironic. Obviously, Desire Sensor did not play a factor there because I wasn't trying to get a good weapon drop. Unfortunately, here... you see, we did not get anything necessarily good, unless you consider a puzzle ring good. I mean, it's good, because we can summon the treasure goblin portal and maybe get a good run going there. I'm not going to do that on channel, though, guys, so keep that in mind. All right, let's salvage this stuff, and that's going to pretty much do it. As I mentioned before, Diablo 3 videos are dropping on Tuesdays and Thursdays for this month. I don't necessarily know what the schedule is going to look entirely for May yet. I haven't planned it out. Keep in mind, May 4th is our 1-year anniversary. So, as always, a like on this video is appreciated, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't as well, because that's greatly appreciated. I will see you on Tuesday for the next Diablo 3 video.